Hi, my name is Barbie Enrico, and I'm here to welcome you to Pitch Tips Zoomcast, and where venture capitalist Fred Haney gives feedback to CEOs of startup companies to help them raise capital. Fred is an experienced venture capital fund manager, angel investor, entrepreneur, founder Monday Club, and author of The Fundable Startup, one of the best-selling books about startup companies getting funded. So let's find out what Fred has to say to today's CEO.
Hi, and welcome to the Pitch Tips Zoomcast. I'm Fred Haney, your host, and I'm here today with Parshant Jain, who's the CEO of Campfire. And the whole idea here is that you get to be in my office, my venture capital office, while Parshant presents his business plan to me, and we're going to go through his slide deck and try and come up with some suggestions for strengthening the pitch and increasing his chances of getting funded. And the whole idea here is that I have over 50 years of experience as a venture capitalist, an angel investor, and a co-founder. I've dealt directly with hundreds of startup companies, and I've also had about 60 very profitable exits down through the years. So I'm bringing that experience today, see if we can help Parshant with his business plan. And the idea is you get to jump into my office and grab a chair in the corner and watch the proceedings. So I hope they can help you with your startup as well. Parshant, good morning. Thanks for being with us.
Thanks, Fred. Good morning, and thank you for having me over.
Why don't you give a quick little elevator speech version of your company, Campfire, and then tell us a little about your personal background and how you got involved with the company.
Absolutely. Fred, Campfire is the logical evolution of social network. It's a safe, secure, and fully integrated online and in-person environment for kids to make and interact with friends while giving them a space to be kids. That is in the nutshell. And I'm the CEO of Campfire. This is my third startup as well. I used to work for McKinsey and Accenture on the management consulting side. I worked at various consumer-facing products company like NBC, ABC, Amgen, Pepsi, and whatnot. And from profession, I am a doctor, physician, and as well as I have a business background.
Great. So all that feeds nicely into this project. Why don't you say another couple sentences about the problem you observed and the problem that you're trying to solve here. And I think that'll lead in to your pitch deck. If you want to go ahead and do your screen share, that's fine. That's probably one of your first slides.
Absolutely, Fred. Let me share my screen. Let me know if.
Yep.
It's going great. So, Fred, Campfire is a platform that we are designing to empower kids from the childhood. What is happening in today's society, as we all know and see all around us, that kids are having trouble to function in real life. In normal society, when you put a kid in front of 10, 15 people, they are not able to talk, they're not able to express themselves. Being as a helicopter parent, we always end up protecting them, which is our duty as a parent, but also we hinder their problem solving skills. So they are not able to come up with a creative way of conflict resolution, or coming up with a creative and artistic solution around everyday life things that they go through. Plus also in the last 10, 15 years, because of many reasons, and one of the reasons is how we became as a isolated society. There is a huge cases of depression, isolation, and loneliness started to happen in the kids space. There are a lot of research as well as papers out there that these cases are increasing rapidly, and we have to address these problems in a dire need. So what our solution is, we are creating this platform which is completely, or I would say as secure as possible that we can, or technology can provide. Along with that, it provides all the tools for a kid to learn life lessons. And being as a kid, rather than we are pushing them to be mature, they can enjoy all those kid moments that we used to enjoy in our childhood. So this is the whole core premises of this product or the platform is a play date, how you can hang out with friends, you can spend time with friends, and also find creative way of thinking and problem solving solutions within that environment. So we are calling it a next generation social network for kids because there is no other way that we can say when kids interact with other kids, it is basically a social activity. And as a parent, when you meet other parents, that becomes also a social networking event. So, but the core heart is again a play date or kids hanging out with other kids of similar interest. And we are creating this positive reinforcement environment where online bullying or digital literacy and all those components that in our today's world and today's culture and society we need, we are incorporating all of them. Everybody is vetted, everybody is verified, everybody has to go through a background check so that we can keep all the bad components away from in this platform. As I said, it was a logical evolution of social network. If you think about it, in the last 10, 15 years since the Facebook, things are exactly the same. We are finding either Instagram or TikTok or Snapchat, they didn't change much. They are exactly the same. But the persona as well as the adaptation and the mindset about the social media changed because there is a lot of data privacy, security, and other things associated with it. So we are taking care of all of them. And on top of that, we are providing a space for the kids to be kids and hang out with their friends. Here are some of the screenshots. As as kids starts growing up and as they start hanging out on their parents' phones, or we as a parent give them any tablets or iPads or similar kind of devices. The first thing they start going is either watching a YouTube or going to my the parents Instagram or Facebook or any of those kind of social platforms. Nowadays, TikTok is huge. So we are putting similar kind of persona so that kids never feel that they have to go to these non-secured platforms which are designed for adults and not for kids, and giving them the flavor of that they are not missing out anything, and kids can create their own life, their own social network or friends network around that. We call it buddies and pods. As most of the social media platforms are aligned with that, they create everything on phone-based model, and then they try to stretch that same concept or the same design and user experience feel in a stretched form on web as well as tablets. We are not doing that way. We know that the kids first device is is they get either a tablet or a laptop rather than a phone, because as a parent we try to avoid having phone all the time. So we are the whole product is designed separately for the phones as well as for the web and tablets. And as we know, nowadays every kid is going on almost one or the other gaming apps, whether it's a Roblox or Minecraft or any of those ones. We cannot eliminate that component from our culture as well, or our day-to-day life. But instead of that, we are embracing that culture, and we are putting a metaverse component where there is a lot of learning associated with it. It is not just the educational learning, but also the life aspect of learning. Like, in this case, one example is the trees, various flowers, various vegetations that you can find in a on a hike when you go outside in real life, as well as the same concept in the metaverse component. And also the animals that you can find in various settings. This is just one example, how kids can learn about the animals, about the plants, about the environment, ecosystem, and all of that. Along with that, they can build their own environment so that they have all these creative thinking skills associated with it, and they can hang out with their friends within not just in the real life, in physical world, but also in the metaverse. We are first to the market. We did not see even a single platform out there that capture both outdoors, indoors, and metaverse environment seamlessly integrated. And it is also targeted towards learning about real life skills. Also, if you think about it, there is a lot of research going on, and also there are a lot of papers published that in the last 10 to 20 years, how the technology grew or outpaced from the evolution perspective from a brain, that as a brain, we are not coping up, because in the last 10 million years, the evolution rate was very slow. In the last 15 years, the evolution in the technology aspect of it, it's growing very fast. It's a huge market out there. There are more than 2 billion kids less than the age of 14 in the world with one or the other kind of devices in their hand. And there are 100 million kids just in the US. So there is a huge market for us that we can capture. Our target age group is between 4 to 12 years old. And also our first geography launch, which is our first MVP launch, is going to be somewhere in the California, either Northern or Southern California. We have both the options. And as we move along, we will pick either one or both the areas to launch our product. There are no as such direct competitors for us at this time, but even a simple text message is a competitor, because what we are doing is, or what we are creating is a unified platform that will capture all your child-related communication into one. So many indirect competitors, but no direct competitors at this point. There are competitive advantages that being first to the market is, we are really focused on real life learning skills, and also including a component of education aspect of it. Also networking and social, because networking word is always connects with the parents or the adult group, and the social is hanging out with friends, is all connected with the kids. So it's in one single platform. And we are the first one providing both online and offline engagement seamlessly integrated. Our go-to-market strategy is we are targeting parents, especially moms, and also connecting with LGBTQ community, as well as children hospitals and neighborhoods. In that aspect, our MVP stage GTM, which will give us a lot of insight about the parents as well as children's mindset and what they want from this product moving forward. For that, we are connecting with one organization. We are connecting with one more group, which could be AYSO or Boys and Girls Club. We are talking to all of them and see who is ready to jump on the ship with us and give us the opportunity to launch our product in the MVP stage. We, as I said, one geography already decided, California, either Northern or Southern California. That is what we are going to pick it up. And one international market, we are doing it for global outreach, and that we picked like, Mumbai, India, to see like, how, what people are looking for when we roll it out after beta launch from global perspective. We are already affiliated with 3 companies, and we are like, constantly talking to few more and at a various stage of conversations to partner with them. One is Pico, who is our metaverse partner. Mommy Moon is our mom's organization that is like, our affiliations with them. And Jito is one of the cultural organization that we are already aligned with. But other than that, like, we are already talking to around 7 to 8 other organizations. Our team of advisors, myself, Parshant, I'm the CEO. Sharad is my CTO. He has a 20+ years of experience in technology. Stacy is our head of community partnership. Andrea and Adam is our advisors on the go-to-market strategy and user acquisition side of it. Pico is our metaverse advisor. Our tech team is both bi-coastal, like, both in the East and West Coast, and we are constantly bringing in credible and very high caliber engineers to put together this product. And we are looking for, we opened up our pre-seed round, and we are looking for around 500K at this time. And we are planning to launch our MVP in October, November 2021. And we have one conditional yes from an investor whose range is like, anywhere between 100 to 300K. And he's not a lead investor, but looking for a lead investor who can lead the round, and this potential investor can jump on board with the same terms. Our roadmap, as I mentioned, is we are planning to launch our alpha phase, our first client, somewhere in the October-November timeframe. And that these funds are to expedite the delivery of that client, as well as we are having 2 beta launches, but we may combine 2 beta to 1, depends on how the user interviews goes and how soon we can like, close to the live product, and we can build it in the next 4 or 5 months after our first alpha launch. That is all from my side, and thank you so much for your time.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, a lot of good content there. I'll go back and pick up on a few questions. One thing, I guess, that came to me just there at the end, Parshant, is you don't have an app that's up and running now, right?
No. We are building it.
So that first product, what exactly will it do?
So, Fred, the first product is, it has few components that will give the idea about what this product does, and we are building on that. It's like the logins, registrations, screen, like, you can add your family members, kids to that same profile like a Netflix, because kids cannot have their own profile until they are 13. So we are going with a Netflix kind of model. So parent will be the like, the admin or the user, main user, and then every kid has their own profiles associated with it, and they can find their in the neighborhood, like, their similar age group and similar interest kids.
So okay, that's a good answer. I think you ought to play that up. You need to do everything you can to make this app seem real and concrete. Tell me exactly why does the kid go there? What's he looking for? You might want a couple screenshots. I know you have some screenshots, but I'm not sure they tell me what the kid is hoping to accomplish. I mean, why does he go to the app in the first place? What's he looking for? Does he not have any friends? I mean, he doesn't know anybody in the neighborhood. He wishes he knew more people in the neighborhood. What's driving it?
So, Fred, first of all, they are going to look for more kids and also have a place to engage with their current friends, like, either from school or from any club or any like, the classes they attend, like, something like that. So once they are out of the class or out of the school, there is no way they can interact, like, there is no social engagement around that. So all they do is, like, come home and, like, either they do their homework or, like, go on any gaming site and start playing games. But connecting with their own friends is not there. It's missing from that part.
And when you say connecting, are they messaging back and forth? Is that the connection?
Yes, they can message, they can create their own groups, they can have a video call within the product, like, whenever they feel like it. And also they can exchange and share ideas, as well as, like, their interest. If you like dogs and you like cats and you like makeup, you can do all that, like, into that specific grouping.
Yeah. And at some point in your presentation, you used the word play date. And that rings more of a bell for me than Campfire. I mean, I'm really wondering if Campfire, how do you think Campfire captures the message, or is there a better name that might capture the message more clearly?
No, Fred. So Campfire, if you think about Campfire, like, the definition is, like, outdoor, where you are, like, hanging out, telling stories with friends, and, like, having fun. So that is the idea of Campfire, and that is the core concept. Like, from the kids perspective, it becomes more like a word change to play date. But once you go to the teens, they are, like, hanging out with friends, either at mall or, like, they are hanging out in the backyard or in the room. Like, so every decade of life has, like, that hangout kind of feel, where, like, you are going out and hanging out, you are doing barbecue, you are, like, going for fishing, you are going for bicycling, like, there are so many activities that you want to do, and you are doing it outdoors. That brings people together so that you can do it together. So that is the idea of Campfire.
Well, just something to think about. And again, you're going to be presenting this to other investors, so you got to think, well, how are people going to react? To me, Campfire is a pretty specific thing, and I'm not sure it encompasses quite the world you're dealing with. But I guess part of the point is you have to try and make yourself aware of how these words are going to affect people. They based on the context that they have and their understanding, and that kind of thing, words end up having a very different meaning. Another example of that I picked up kind of early on is you said that this is a natural evolution of social media. That kind of got my brain going in the wrong direction. I mean, because to me, the social media, it's adults, and it's moved in the direction of video, maybe, and those kinds of things. So when you talk about the natural evolution of that whole big thing, I wouldn't necessarily have thought, oh yeah, it's kids next. I mean, it may be a natural step, but it wasn't obvious to me that would be the next place to go. So I mean, you could present that in a different way. You don't have to say it's natural evolution. You could say, this is a whole breakthrough new idea. Mm-hmm. It's a whole new thing.
Right.
And that might have a little different kind of impact.
Right. Means you're absolutely right, Fred, like, because this is a very new concept, right? And you're absolutely right. It is a next generation of social media, like, So I shouldn't say social media, it's social network.
But next generation, it's hard to know what dimension you're moving in.
Okay.
I mean, if you said to me, what's the next dimension of social media, I wouldn't have thought kids necessarily. I mean, I'd have probably thought some other technology. Not sure. But it's not obvious to me that that's a natural next step. I think it's a good step. I mean, it's fine. I think you could present it in a maybe in a more compelling way.
Got it.
So here's something else that I think you need to pay some attention to. You had kind of a lot of thoughts about the problem you're addressing, the problem kids have, and you said they have trouble interacting. They're kind of protected. They have there's a lot of depression, isolation, those kinds of problems. I think you need to focus that somehow, narrow it down, and put some numbers on it, quantify it. You know, how big a problem is this, and how do we know that? And it may be intensified by COVID. I mean, I think it probably has been. I mean, so you could talk about that. But I think you need to be very specific about what's the problem here that we're solving. I mean, and if we're saying, well, kids don't know enough kids in their neighborhood, how do we know that? You know, what's the evidence of that? How do we know that somebody is lying awake at 2 o'clock in the morning because their kid doesn't know other people in the neighborhood? I mean, you're making some claims there, but you need to be very specific about it and focus and provide as much support as you possibly can.
Okay.
One thing I got a little confused about, Parshant, and I just think you need to be clear about it. At one point, it sounded like you were saying, right now, all the social media stuff is oriented toward phones. We're not going to do that. We're moving toward tablets and laptops. But then I thought you said, but we're also going to do phones. So I'm confused about the strategy there.
So, Fred, the first device that we give to our kids is a tablet. That is the most common device people end up giving, right? But parents always have a phone. They are not a device, tablet people. So what happens is, who's our primary user group? Who's going to sign up on this one is parents, not kids. So when we say parents are the who's going to sign up, right? And they will check out, and then they will create their kids profile in it, and it starts becoming more and more towards kids oriented, right? So that is the growth we are expecting to happen until a kid become 13-year-old, and then they have their own account. And usually what happens is we do not give a phone as a parent to a kid until they are 10. Around 10 is the age when they start going to a little bigger, and that time the kids are going to be over the phone. So we have to have both platforms, tablet as well as phone, for this platform.
Okay. So here's another kind of example of how I think you have to be very careful to understand how your audience is going to understand a word or your language. I mean, one example I've given sometimes is when you start a presentation like this, it's important to provide very specific context so that your audience knows kind of what you're talking about. You wouldn't start this conversation by saying, well, we're going to solve all the world's problems by giving kids phones. Mm-hmm. I mean, you gotta define your terms and kind of zoom in from general to specific, be very specific. And you use the word metaverse. Mm-hmm. And that one worries me because I think metaverse is going to mean a whole lot of different things to a whole lot of different people. You seem to be using it in a certain way to sort of refer to education in a very broad sense. But if you look at the definitions online, it has to do with somebody's view of how the internet evolves and what kind of content is there. But I think you have to be really careful with that. I mean, it's okay to use it, maybe, but if you're going to use it, I would define it the way you want it to be understood.
Got it.
Explain why that's an important concept. When you talked about that, the other thing that came up for me, I mean, you said, you know, kids are going to learn about birds, for example. What are they going to learn about all birds? I mean, is this a structured course on ornithology? Or, you know, is it just the birds that your authors want them to know about? I mean, you understand what I'm getting at there? There's I mean, you're starting to get into a whole field of education almost.
Okay.
I mean, sure, you want your content to be informative, but I think you need to say more. When you use this phrase metaverse, it just seems like it opens up a Pandora's box of who knows what.
Okay.
Is that fair?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Competition, you talk about it a little bit. You say we have no direct competition. I mean, most companies say that, meaning that there's nobody doing quite the same thing we're doing. But I would come at competition in a different way. And this is how investors what a venture capitalist will do is have one of his associates go to his computer and say, go Google internet applications for kids and see what comes up. And there's going to be 289,000, if not 289 million things that come back. And they're not going to take the time to dice that up and segment it and understand what's you know, where you fit in that.
Right.
So I would take a broader view. When you address competition for something like this, I think the starting place is what's available for parents and kids on the internet today? What all is out there? I mean, you know, there's a lot of games, there's social media, there's Google and Facebook and Twitter and all kinds of stuff. You know, what are they doing now? And how do we know that? You really would like to have some good data on how kids are spending their time so you can sort of begin to make the point that, look, that's not solving this problem. I mean, it's well, let me wrap that up. I mean, there is that whole question about how are kids and parents using the internet today. But then there's the next question is more related maybe to your specific issue. Is kids have lots of problems. How are parents and kids addressing that issue today? Not necessarily internet solutions, but how do they go about it? What are the solutions? I mean, one of them is a lot of people go to church and they meet kids in Sunday school programs. But you're competing with that. You know, you're competing with all the other ways that people address this problem, and somehow you're going to have to persuade people that you have a better and more effective solution. And I think investors will be impressed if you come at it that way and say, look, we understand that there are other ways to solve this problem and that people have other choices and other alternatives. And here's how we sort through all that. And then here specifically is why we think we are the best alternative.
Okay.
You know, it may be very true that there's nobody else doing the same thing, but there are other solutions to this problem.
Yeah.
So, and that's the space you're in. You're going to have to persuade somebody that your solution is better than whatever other solution they're using today. So how do you do that? You know? Let's see. I guess another question I had sort of toward the end there, a lot of your marketing is toward parents, particular toward mom. How much control is mom going to have over this?
That is a very good question. See, Fred, I'll give you a couple of examples that will give you the being parent as a parent, how much you know. So we already have the weekly reports. First of all, how much time they consumed on this platform, how many people did they speak to, how many kids they make new friends with, and all of that. But other than that, the control is any friend request that is a kid is getting, it is getting approved by the parents, because kid doesn't know whether who to approve or not. First of all, if some adult is connecting with a kid, parents should notify that, adult is connecting with a kid, gets approval on that. Second is same way the other way, if kid is connecting to an adult, that gets approved by the parent too, because you don't know whether it's uncle, aunt, or some third person. Never know. Maybe a YouTube influencer on that one, from gaming part, we never know. Third is how much time do you want your kids to be on this platform? You can define it, after 1 hour, 2 hour, the app will shut down. It'll say what, that is all you are allocated time. Parents can control that from that perspective. And on top of that, the parents can run their that chores in a way that we want kids to learn, make your bed, take out the trash. And if you do that, we will award you some points so that you can utilize those points either to buy something on the platform, or you can use 30-minute playtime on a video game, or 60-minute time, on the game that is there, on the platform. So we are gamifying that so that parents have the control to teach kids as well, a lot of things. And they can utilize that time to, if they want to have a, master class that is going on, they want to learn piano, or learn how to make cupcakes, all of that.
Good. Parshant, is there a particular issue that you're concerned about that I might be able to help with? Do you have other questions I can help with?
No, Fred, I think this is great. I will incorporate all the feedback that I got it from you in my presentation before Monday, right? And also, any help you can do, I'm totally open ears, love to.
Well, you got the idea of how Monday Club approaches these. I was a little disappointed in the turnout, although it was a good group of people, and you got some good feedback there. That
Right.
The group that's coming Monday, maybe a little larger, usually is a little larger. We usually have between 15 and 20, but I don't know, summertime maybe slowing things down a little bit, and
Right.
people are getting back into their routine a little. And then the Orange County group, the third Monday, is still larger, usually, 20 plus or minus. So Parshant, thank you very much for participating in our Pitch Tip Zoomcast program. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Fred. Thanks a lot.
And listeners, I hope this helped you tighten up your pitch deck a little bit. Be sure and watch and listen next time. There's a lot of new content coming on the Fundable Startup YouTube channel all the time. We're doing a new one of these Pitch Tips programs every few days. And we're also posting content from our Monday Club presentations, which are similar to this, except the presenters getting feedback from a group of 10 or 20 experienced company building people. If you haven't already done so, be sure and subscribe to our channel, and we'll see you next time we have a Pitch Tips Zoomcast program.
Thank you so much, Fred, for having me. Thanks a lot. Thanks for that.